Now let's quickly check how we can retrieve data using some numeric queries such as the between, the in clause, the limit operator, or call it limit clause, order by clause, and then the offset. We're going to be looking at each of them one by one, and then some example cases where we apply these clauses to. And what is the between clause? So we have here the between and the in. So the purpose of the between clause is that it filters rows within a range of values. And this is a syntax for it. So we have the column name. That is after we must have written select from and then the table name. All right. Where we have the column name between. Now, this is a column name. In this case, we have the salary. So column name between, then the lower bound, that is where you are starting from. For example, 4,000, and then the upper bound, which is 60,000. So let's assume that we are selecting all the columns from employees table where we have the salary column to be between, let's say $40,000 and then $60,000. So what this thing does is that it gives us the result, including 40,000. Whenever we are using the between clause, 40,000 is inclusive and as well as 60,000. So this is a syntax for the between operator. Now we also have another one called the in operator, which purpose is to filter rows and match any values in the specific or the specified list. Now in this case, we have the department column and then we have the employees table. So we are selecting all the records from the employees table where we have department in. Now writing this query and using the in clause or the in keyword, we'll be having HR, engineering, and marketing. So anywhere we have these three values here, these are the only specified list. So anything outside this list, we will not have it in our results. So assuming that we have in the department, we have HR, we have engineering, we have marketing, and maybe we have 4 other departments in the employees table. We are not going to be having those results because we are only filtering the rows that matches the specified list. In this case, these 3 arguments in this in clause. We have another one called the order by. So what order by does is it sorts the result based on or result set based on one or more columns. Now we can decide to order by a column name, for example, last name. By default, is usually in the ascending order. So in most cases, you are not required to even include the ascending keyword here. So with a comma, we also have first name. That means we can sort columns. We can sort a single column, that is one column, and we can also sort more than one column. In this case, we are sorting the last name column and also sorting the first name. In this case, in the last name column, we are sorting in ascending order, and then the first name, we are sorting in the descending order. So this is the syntax for it. So we also have another one called limit clause, which restricts the number of rows returned by the query. Now, once we apply this, that's limit number of rows. In this case, we want to limit it to 10. So let's say we have about 100 records or 100 records as we filter, results. Now to truncate the results to 10, we will use the limit. Okay, in this case, we are selecting everything from employees and then we are ordering by the higher date, which is a higher date column in the descending order, and then we are only looking at 10 results. Now we have another one called the offset. So what offset does is that it keeps a specific number of rows. Take note, it keeps a specific number of rows before beginning to return rows from the query. So once we use the offset keyword, offset and then the number of rows you want to skip. For example, in this case, we have here limit 10, and then we are limiting 10 and then we are offsetting 5. That means it's going to be starting from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the 5 remaining records are going to be displaying, and then the 5, please take note, we are limiting to 10. So we are expecting to have 10 results in this query. But since we apply the offset 5, we are skipping 5 records and then giving the remaining 5 records. So that's the purpose of this offset keyword. So it keeps a specific number of rows. In this case, if you apply 3 rows will be skipped before beginning to return the remaining rows from that query. Now this is a combined example using the order by, the limit, and also the offset keyword. And we have here to be select everything from employees. We order by the higher date, that is the date in which these employees were ordered, in descending order, and we are limiting our results to just 10, and then we are offsetting to get the 5, offsetting 5 rows, so we could get the 5 remaining. So this retrieve the 6, as we said, 6 to the 15th most recently hired employees. All right, we are limiting to 10. So I think it should be 10th here, 10th most recently hired employees. So what we are basically going to be doing now is that we'll be looking at some examples of applying these things to our data set. And I will be heading to our pgadmin to start working with it. All right, so let's go to our PostgreSQL as a pgadmin, and we select everything. Let's first select everything from the health table. Now let's run this query. Now the first clause we will look at is the between. Now what we do is that we only want to select people that are of the age from, let's just say, from between 24 and 30. Now what do we do here? So we say where, remember that this is case insensitive, so where then our column name, which is age, then between 24 and 30. Now guess what happens? Look at the age column here. Let's run the query. So we can see that we now have ages 26. If we choose to arrange this, but let's leave it for now. Later on, we'll be looking at the order by clause. Now, where age is between 24 and 26. Now, we can see we have 24, 26. If you scroll down here, we have the total rows to be 119. Now, without this last condition, if we run this, we have a total of 736 rows. But if we happen to apply this, that is, if we are to select ages that are only between 24 and 30, from 738, we now have about 119. So the total number of respondents that are within the age of 24 and 30 is 119. Okay. Now we also have what is called the in clause. All right. Now, how does the in clause work? Let's say, for example, we only want to filter out people who have the primary streaming service to be so this is what we will do. Where primary streaming service RVI service in, and then we open a bracket. Now the values that we provide here is only what we are going to be displaying. So we say the first one is, remember we are using string here, so this is going to be show Spotify. We only want to see Spotify, people that use Spotify, and let's say YouTube music. Now look, just check out the results, what you'll be getting. So if you run this, we only have on Spotify and then YouTube music. There is no Apple Music here. So out of this about 738 records, we have about 552 respondents that uses the YouTube music and also the Spotify. Now we also have what is called the not to say the order by. We can choose to order this by let's say the age. Okay, we can say order by, then we use the column order by age. Now if you run this, we can see that we have from the least age going up. So the least person that filled this form is of the age 10, and we have 12, 12, 12. All right, now we can also see order by age, and then we have what is called this other keyword, which is ASC, that is ascending order. Now by default it's usually at the ascending order even without you adding this ASC. So if you run this, we have it from 10 and above. Now if you run DESC, this is where you get from the highest to the lowest of age. So the highest person here is about 89. This person did not fill the age. Okay, that's why you can see that. So it can take any number. So we have from 89 to 72 to 64. All right. So we've looked at the order by, we've looked at the in clause, we've looked at the between. So now let's quickly look at the limit clause. As you can see, we have about 512. And let's get back to using between. So we want to check the ages between where the age, remember we are using the age column, where the age is between let's say 24 and then 30. We are now ordering by age. So if you run this query, this is from 30 and above. All right. Now what we do is we have about 119 records. So if you're asked to find out only 10 persons that are of the age 24 and 30, so we can limit this to, let's say, just the 10 persons we are looking for. And then we run this query. So we have only 10 results here. All right, so let's quickly look at the using the offset. Now this is how the offset works. So we have here select everything from health where age is between 24 and 30, order by age. Now we have it by default in descending order from the lowest to the highest. Now if you run this query, this is what you'll be having. So for us to use the offset, we said offset, we use offset and then we provide the number or the rows as the number we want to offset our value from. Now, if we type 5, what SQL does is that it captures from the first here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from here, this is from the 6. This is where we will start getting our result. Now, I want you to count it by yourself. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this last Spotify here will now go off. So we now start from the other Spotify here, which is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we say offset 5 and we run this query, we can see we now have the other 6 Spotify here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you may not really use this number to determine or to know if you actually offsetted it. Okay, but if you look closely, you've actually offset the rows by 5 to have this result. So that is it on the offset. Now, if you look at everything that we've done, we can see that we can actually combine the order by, you can actually combine the offset. You can as well as use the between, and we can also use in. All right. That means we can as well as write a query and where and say age, or let's just say where primary streaming service in, we can say we only want to have it for Spotify and then Apple Music. Right, so if you run this result, you notice that we combine both the in clause, combine the between, we even combine order by, and we combine offset. We can also limit it. We can also combine it with limit. That is limit to the first 20. Now we have about 82 records here, so we can just pick the first 20 here. So once we run this, we have the 20 records, including the Apple Music and then the Spotify, and we've offsetted the values here to 5. So this is basically how we can work with retrieving data from databases and using the between, the in, the order by, the limit, and then the offset. So I really hope you enjoyed today's class, and I expect to see you some other time. So do have a nice day.